Hello and welcome to another edition of the NBA Outlet presented by OTGBasketball.com. Be sure to follow OTG on Twitter at OTGBasketball. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me, as always, Harris Wichard. What's good, Harris?
What's going on, Nick? Excited to talk hoops with you today on a nice Saturday afternoon here in New York. So looking forward to it.
All right, Harris, let's get right into it, though. All-Star starters were released 2 days ago. So we'll start with the West. And this is where there's a big-time snub. We got Curry starting, Harden starting, KD starting, Kawhi starting, and AD starting. Yes, no Russell Westbrook. Initial thoughts when you saw the All-Star starters released with Westbrook not starting?
Well, the way they break it down is that the fan vote, if I believe it's, 50, 25, 25 now?
Yeah, yep.
So they take a little bit away from the fans. And, good thing Zaza Pachulia wasn't a starter because I don't think you can even have a game. So that was the one thing that stuck out to me was good thing that didn't happen. But also with the Westbrook thing, obviously we know he should have been the starter. Tremendous season for him. This is coming from a big Stephen Curry fan. And, the players had him, Curry at 3 with Harden and Westbrook at 1, 2, and the media had it the same way. And the fans had it at 1. I mean, this is more of, you saw it in the East with Irving. This is one of those situations where it's the last couple years. He won a couple MVP awards, been in the finals a couple times in a row. So this is one of those reputation awards. But I think even if you ask Steph, he might even say that, Westbrook deserved it. But it's one of those situations where, there's not really much you could do about it. Westbrook has won. I think Westbrook has also won the MVP of the All-Star game 2 years in a row. So he'll come off the bench. I can't wait to see him and Durant on the same team again. I think that's going to be fun. It's just one of those situations where it's they might have to move into a different direction. But I don't know how you feel about it with the fan vote, but
I mean, the whole point of changing the votes up was so the fans couldn't mess things up, and they still did. Westbrook obviously is averaging a triple-double, leading the league in scoring, averaging over 30 a game, and for him not to start is kind of just crazy. It's just like he's having a historical season, and I mean, Curry's having a good season, and in most years he would probably easily be the All-Star starter. But this year, Westbrook's out there, and he's just dominating and carrying his team after they lost an MVP player in Kevin Durant, and they're still in the playoff race. And, they're only 4 games, I think, behind from home court advantage. So,
yeah, and that's another thing when people have been making a big deal of Curry's drop-off. Obviously, we knew that was coming with Durant there, but it's also because of what Harden and Westbrook have done. And people look to, they look to the magical seasons that Curry was having. They're like, what's wrong with Steph? We look around the league and we saw these giant numbers. That's another reason why people have said that, I think, about Steph, because of what Westbrook and Harden have done offensively.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like you said, there's nothing we can do now. It just sucks. It'll be fun to watch Westbrook in the All-Star game regardless, because he'll probably have some extra juice. Right. And Kevin Durant will be there, so it's going to be kind of awkward. I want to see how that whole situation, goes out, because, I mean, especially if they're on the court together at the same time, that'll be kind of interesting. Like, will they refuse to pass each other the ball?
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, and you know what? With the game they played the other night, we know the Warriors had a great week. They beat the heck out of Cleveland at home, and that was one of the games that they really wanted to get, especially with what happened on Christmas, as we talked about here. But also with the game against OKC, and then last night against Houston. But the game against OKC, and they killed them at home earlier in the year. But with Westbrook playing the way he is, and that interaction not only with Pachulia when he stood over him like the Undertaker, and Durant with that little exchange they had in the third quarter, this is quickly becoming must-see television when these two teams go at it. And we know about the rivalry they already have with the Cavs. So I pose this question to you. Do you like, and I know we spoke about this before, do you like the bad blood? And is there some hate that's driving this regular season? Because we all expect it to be Warriors Cavs in June. So we're really concerned about what's going to entertain us right now in the regular season. And this past week for an NBA fan has been pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, the hate definitely there. I think more as the season progresses, as the Warriors have a more successful season, people are going to hate them a little bit more, especially the Cavs. Obviously, there's some bad blood there. And then OKC, honestly, I kind of hate Zaza Pachulia. And like, bro, like sit down. Like you're standing over Westbrook. Like he plays mad hard every night. He's like one of the best competitors in the league, one of the best players in the league, and you're just like been a role player your whole career.
Yeah.
So like, sit down.
And also with Westbrook after the game saying that he doesn't play that, and he looks forward to seeing Pachulia next time, and he said he's going to get his ass back.
Good. I hope he does.
So I don't know how he plans on doing that. I would assume maybe a poster or
poster or two, maybe.
Yeah, attacking him at the cup. But this is February 11th. Is definitely a date. That's a couple days before the All-Star game that we're going to see another Westbrook. I'm starting to really enjoy these, Nick. We're starting to, and I know probably the rest of the world is too. I'm not in the minority here, but Westbrook round 3 on February 11th. And now there's even more added juice to it because I guess you refer to it as the All-Star snub. I've always thought of a snub as someone who doesn't make the team, but this is one of those situations where you thought it would be a shoo-in, so I guess you can consider it that. But February 11th, round 3, and it should be interesting to see how these guys go at each other before the All-Star break.
Yeah, it'll be definitely something interesting, and I mean, I still think it's a snub just because of the numbers. And, he's having a historical great season, so not to be a starter just is like, eh.
Well, if he doesn't make the team, then they should just cancel the season.
Well, yeah, I don't think that'll definitely happen. But on to the Eastern Conference, there's a little bit less drama over here. We had Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, obviously LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's not really much complaint about the forwards. It's the guard spots. A lot of people thought maybe Isaiah Thomas and Kyle Lowry should have started over those two. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think I don't mind DeRozan there. I mean, I don't watch the Raptors as much as the normal person. I think something that, especially what happened last night, they got blown out in the second half against Kemba and the Hornets. But I think for me, I don't mind the DeRozan. I think he was carrying them for the better half of the season, and then I guess Lowry's picked it up of late, and I guess that's a toss-up. I know Lowry would definitely be in the game. But with Thomas, I think being that he's leading the East in scoring and that we've talked about his fourth quarter prowess, that he deserved the opportunity. Again, similar to the Curry thing in that, been in the finals last couple years, more of a name thing, popularity contest type of situation, and I think Thomas is one of those guys that definitely deserve this nod, but they're not going to bring the big name Irving off the bench. So it's not something I'm up in arms about. Both Lowry and Isaiah Thomas will both be all-stars. The question is, after that it gets a little dicey in the East because there are some other guards that are deserving, and I'm interested to see more how the reserves play out in the conference. Yeah,
no, the reserves, like I mentioned last episode, are the tougher of the two.
Yeah.
The starters, you kind of have a good idea. We nailed most of them. Obviously a few are a little bit different. I mean, I would have liked to see IT in there. Also, I mean, I picked DeRozan, but I could definitely see the argument for Lowry. He's obviously had a great season. I just thought with the historic stretch that DeRozan has, that's kind of why a lot of people went with him. Like early on, I think it was like he started the year and he did something that only MJ had done. So I got to give him props for that. But I knew it would only be Lowry or DeRozan. It'd be tough to get them both in.
Yeah,
as starters, but they'll definitely Lowry and IT will definitely make the game.
I think in order to have usually when you have multiple starters, you're having some sort of historic season or your team best in the conference. It's difficult to get two of your guys in the starting lineup. It's something that the Cavs and Warriors did, and whether that was deserving or not is obviously debatable. But it's more so those honors are usually reserved towards the teams that are either first in their conference, having historic seasons, all-time greats, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we'll give our all-star reserves in a few episodes. We'll make you wait a little bit
closer to the
So, but you talked about a little bit the Warriors. This week they've beaten the Cavs, they've beaten OKC, they've beaten Houston, and they've all done it in somewhat of a pretty easy fashion.
Right.
So, I mean, they're just coasting through the season. It seems like they're starting to really dominate out there. What are your thoughts watching these games? I know you love the Warriors, you love Steph. They're playing at another level right now?
Yeah, you know what? I texted you during the game yesterday, and even the announcer touched on it. This is going to be a really hard team to beat 4 times the way they're playing right now. Whether they play their best basketball in April, May, June is to be determined. But the way they're hitting their groove right now is something to see. I mean, these games have been competitive. These are the elite teams in the NBA. The Rockets at home are tough. They made mincemeat of them last night. And just a couple of the possessions, I thought they're really starting to understand each other. They're getting used to one another. You look at the standings, they're 37-6. And it's clockwork right now, and offensively unselfish. And one stat that stuck out to me that I really enjoyed was Curry had 10 assists in the first half against the Cavaliers. And anytime he's moving the ball like that, and then they're starting to have obviously we know they have fun, but it's more than that. It's a camaraderie that you're starting to see that I think if you're a Warrior fan, it is something you really enjoy right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see the chemistry and things are starting to flow better. Like you said, they have a better understanding of each other. And, when they fully understand each other and the abilities of the team, they're going to be unstoppable. And like you said, I know it's premature to say, they're a lock to win, but beating this team 4 times in 7 games will be extremely tough. Like I said to you yesterday, I thought it may be of an injury or just something bad happens. They get out of their groove or one team is really hot, but this is one of the best Warriors teams we've seen in the last 3 years, and they've had historic seasons the last 2 seasons. So,
yeah, you know what? It's one of if the season ended today, they beat the Nuggets in 3 in the first round, they'd cancel Game 4, and then they move on to the winner of the Clippers in Utah. Utah is one of those teams that I think is going to be interesting in the playoffs. I know not to get sidetracked, but you honestly, this is the mindset you have to have. Who could beat them? And obviously everybody plays that game in the East with the Cavs. You're going to start who could throw, several athletic perimeter defenders at, Clay and Steph, and who could, really pose a threat inside. And we've obviously mentioned Memphis and other teams inside that would be able to, disrupt what they do. But right now they're out in transition and they're obviously shooting it at a high clip, but wide open looks.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting their offense is working. When you have those type of players, it's obviously going to work.
Right.
Just with Steph, Clay, and KD alone, they're all lockdown shooters, so you can't give them an inch.
Right. No,
I think you might see more activity at the trade deadline this year, just because teams want to beef up and try to compete with the Warriors. Maybe a team like the Rockets, the Grizzlies,
right.
The Clippers are banged up now. Even maybe the Spurs try to make a move just so they can at least compete with them in a 7-game series.
The Jazz.
And the Jazz maybe too, just getting the Jazz would be an interesting matchup. Obviously, I don't think they have the offensive firepower, but it'd be nice to see like a young team against them.
Well, when I watched, I think they played about a month ago, maybe a little bit less than that. But the Jazz will try to impose their style of play, which is what has made the Warriors so difficult to stop over the last few seasons, is that they're always playing at their tempo. They haven't been able to get anybody to slow them down to play in a half court, and that's what Utah is going to try to get. Those are the teams that have the chance. I mean, to me, the Rockets don't really have a chance because you're playing a similar style to what they have already done and established better than you.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's just tough to see a team really beating them. But talking about trades, yesterday there was a rumor out there that the Pistons and the Timberwolves are discussing Ricky Rubio and Reggie Jackson swap. Mm-hmm. I think Shabazz Muhammad was mentioned, also included. What do you think about this move for the Pistons and for the T-Wolves if this happened?
You know what? I don't really like it. I think if you're going to go Rubio, I think you could try to maybe get something. I don't know if you get something better than Reggie Jackson, but I'm not sure because they already have Levine there. I still think they need more of an unselfish guard at that position. So by adding like an offensive-minded guard with already Wiggins and Towns, I'm not sure like Reggie Jackson fits the Thibodeau mold, and that would be the right direction for Minnesota. So I don't like it. I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't think it'd be the right move for Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rubio fits like better with the T-Wolves than Reggie Jackson does, just like you said, because Rubio's pass first.
Yeah.
Jackson's probably more athletic and maybe can provide more like going forward. But Rubio, I think wouldn't be a bad fit for the Pistons though. Like from that perspective, just because they have Andre Drummond, Tobias Harris, Morris, KCP, some guys that could have a lot better seasons if someone could create for them.
Yeah, we talked about Detroit being a possible playoff threat at the beginning of the year. I was impressed with some of their play against the Cavs in the first round last year, so I thought they'd be able to take a step forward. And it's been anything but that. But they have won a couple in a row. What's gone wrong? What's gone right in Detroit in your eyes, and Van Gundy, and what they could do better? I think, they've had some injuries, and, Jackson was out for a little bit. But
I mean, Jackson being out for, like, the start of the season, I think he was out for, like, the first month, plus. And, anytime you're missing your starting point guard, it's tough to win games, especially when he did a lot of things for them last season. But like you said, I thought after, the series they had with the Cavs, obviously they didn't, beat them or anything, but they still played competitive and played them tough. So you thought that would kind of build some confidence. I mean, I don't think Andre Drummond has been quite as dominant as last season, but they've had some pieces they signed have come off the bench and played well too. So, I mean, I think it's just maybe some of the young guys taking a step forward and kind of working together. Maybe when Jackson gets healthy and like fully 100%, they kind of have hit a stride and maybe go on a winning streak. I think they probably still can get back in the postseason.
Nick, do you think Rubio can have a great impact on a Drummond?
I think he would. Yeah. I think it would be a great pick and roll. And I mean, even Tobias Harris and,
Long Island, shout out Long Island.
Yeah, shout out to Tobias Harris. And, he's a very good player. I think he's kind of underrated. And if he had a point guard that kind of set him up in scoring situations because he's a talented guy, you could definitely see his scoring output boost up. Same thing with KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Like, he's a good player. Yeah. And, someone setting you up and making your life easier offensively, you're going to have a better season. Not to say Jackson doesn't get assists, but Rubio's just probably one of the more gifted passers in the league.
Anytime you want a center that doesn't have – and let's be honest, Drummond's not an extremely gifted offensive player. You have I think he might be probably better than like a Tyson Chandler or DeAndre Jordan, but what made those guys go to the next level is what they have on their team. They had an unselfish pass-first playmaking point guard that has leadership qualities that Rubio could bring to the table. So I don't know if they have all the right pieces in order and fitting there. I think you're right. They think if looking for a pass-first point guard really helped the Pistons. Yeah,
it definitely could. And I mean, the Pistons probably are a little bit, not happy with Reggie Jackson with the injuries and whatnot. Maybe they sense that they want to get rid of him because tendonitis is not something that's going to just go away tomorrow and never come back.
Right.
So I think that could also be a concern for them. But it's nice to see the trade talks are starting to pick up a little bit.
We obviously talk about the Melo stuff, but you see anything else?
Well, now Melo said that if the Knicks want to get rid of him, that he'll be willing to waive his no-trade clause. So, I mean, I think he's kind of sensing maybe that they might want to move him a little bit more. He probably has a better idea than what he's saying.
What happened the other night there against the Wizards? I mean, the Wizards have been playing pretty well of late. John Wall's been terrific. John Wall's been absolutely terrific.
And you put his name in there, too, for the All-Star starters snub. Maybe he could have got some more contention, too, just because, the Wizards started off the season pretty bad.
Yeah.
And now they've had a late surge, and they're back in the playoff race, and things are looking pretty good. They're all the way up to the 5th spot. Yeah. I think a few weeks ago they were at the 10th or 11th. So obviously there's not a lot of distance between those type of positions in the East right now, but still.
And this is the part of the year that teams start to separate themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I saw I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline, and it was something about how the standings in January don't change much from now until April.
Yeah, and also with what happened the other night, I want to ask you this question. Technical, Bush League with the assistant coach of the Wizards. Have you seen the clip yet?
Yeah, I saw the clip. I mean, if it was intentional, then yeah, that's just something stupid.
Right.
I see. I kind of annoys me a lot is players, coaches are always on the floor.
Yeah.
Including head coaches. It's just bro, get off the court. You know what I mean? That should be something the NBA should enforce a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
Just in general, yo, if you're on the court, it's automatic T.
Well,
stay off the court. You don't need to go, if it's after a timeout, that's fine. But you don't need to go on the court while the game is in play. No matter what, there's really no excuse. You can say that you're coming out into the court to call a timeout, but you could just walk. I'd rather have them be able to walk all the way down on the sidelines off the court than go on the court at all. You know what I mean?
Speaking of coach-player etiquette, Jason Kidd, they showed the clip, the famous clip of Kidd running into Mike Woodson the other day, when he was on the Mavericks. And then a couple of years later, Kidd pulls one of the all-time bonehead coaching etiquette moves when he intentionally spilled. Was he a coach? The
Nets. Yeah, no, he was a coach of the Nets.
Yeah,
when he Tayshaun Taylor, I think he had run into him when he had a Diet Coke in his hand or a Coke.
Yeah.
I remember watching that, and it caught so much drama. I was in college at the time. We had a sports media class, and we even talked about it then.
It's honestly it's funny that Kidd did that after all the complaining he did it as a player. But anyway, it's just one of those situations where I just don't think that can happen. And Courtney Lee, his explanation was kind of funny because he talked about how the coach was actually saying, I got here. And the reason why he shot faked and put it on the deck was because he thought another player was there closing out to him.
I mean, I don't know if he really thought that.
Or that's what his excuse was, at least.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's like it's a distraction regardless, but I don't think Courtney Lee probably thought he was a player unless he was like really focused into the moment and he just like wasn't paying attention. Obviously, the coach isn't in like a uniform and he's wearing like a suit.
Yeah.
And you kind of have a feel and you can kind of see the rest of the players on the court. But I mean, regardless, it's not a good look for the Wizards. I think they were fine and the coach was fine as well. But don't do it again. But I don't think it's the first time I've ever seen it happen. And also, like, the players get really close to the guys from the shooting corners streets sometimes too.
Yeah.
Like maybe they should think about like pushing things back, like the sidelines. It's like making some more space, especially under the hoop too. Like, not everyone needs to be that close.
It's not a bad idea. And that's why you see a lot of the times when the players they turn around and scream back because there's a lot of banter that goes on the.
Exactly. It's crazy because you see some teams that are just like the players or like a few guys. Other teams you'll see like all the players and the coaches even getting into it, especially like late in the game. Like you'll see the whole bench like,
screaming in the guy's face, waving towels.
And it's like, bro, that's a tough shot. That's a little bit tougher shot to make. You know what I mean? Obviously you practice with noise and you practice and you're used to it being a professional, but I mean, it still has an impact.
Definitely. No question.
But I mean, as far as Melo though, I don't know what's going to happen with that situation. I think it's something we just got to wait out. And we'll give a quick shout out to the Sixers. We talked about them last episode, how they're kind of getting in their groove.
It's fun.
Now they won last night. Robert Covington hit a big shot. They won 8 of their last 10. There's definitely some energy in Philly. The fans are hyped. I think I was talking to you before. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they're like only 4.5 games out of the 8th seed. So, and they're still missing Ben Simmons, who might be one of their top 3 best players in the team.
Yeah, and you know what? I've always spoke about this. I love when somebody just clearly just injects life and enthusiasm into an organization, and that's obviously what Embiid has done. Now, on like a lot lesser scale, like coming from like in the Lynn's perspective during Linsanity. Now, obviously, it's a lot different of a situation because we clearly can tell that Embiid is long term. He's a potential superstar in this league, but. When the Knicks had won 7 in a row during the Linsanity stretch, I was running around saying long-term point guard, long-term point guard. I remember specifically getting like really overly hyped and falling into the, with everybody else and falling into the Linsanity hype. But this is obviously different. This is one of those situations where there actually is like legitimate reason to trust the process as they continue to stay in Philly.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that Embiid was such a high-regarded draft pick too, like their talent was always there. It was just a matter of getting healthy. And a lot of people projected that he'd be a really good player if he was able to stay healthy. And he's kind of put it all together. And I don't think anybody can really predict the personality. And I think that's been a major difference for the team because not only is Embiid producing on the court, he's also producing off the court. He's infusing the team with energy. Like overall, and he's just like getting so hyped. Like you saw him with Robert Covington after he hit that shot. You saw him with TJ McConnell the other night after he hit that shot. So it's just like a lot of energy infused and a lot of excitement. And it's nice for Philly. Obviously, they've suffered these terrible tanking seasons, multiple number 1 draft picks. So it's good to finally see them have some success. That wraps it up for the NBA. Before we get out of here, we want to talk a little NFL. I'm still pretty happy, but this week the Packers got to pull off another one. So we'll start with the Steelers and Patriots. Who's your pick to win the Steelers and Patriots game for the AFC Championship?
I heard a stat today that was I didn't realize this. It was kind of mind-boggling. This is Brady's 11th AFC Championship. That's and 6 straight. Hard to pick against them at home. Steelers have the flu. 15 guys or so. I'm going to go with a close one. I'm going to say Patriots 31, Steelers 27.
That is a close one. This is a very difficult game to predict. Obviously, like statistics and your brain tells you to go with the Patriots just because the Patriots have been there. They've won this game. But then you look at the Steelers and probably maybe the most offensive firepower in the league with just 2 players. Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Both these guys can just score from any point of the field. So it's tough. And I know I have some Steeler fans that need my support. So I'm going to have to go with Pittsburgh to pull the upset. I mean, and I would like to see a Pittsburgh-Green Bay rematch. So I'm going to go with Pitt 27, Patriots 21.
Wow, hold them to 21. And again, Brady going for his 5th title.
Brady, I would say this though. I'm not throwing shade or anything, but last week against Houston, he did not look good.
No, he didn't.
I mean, he had a better second half, but in the first half, he threw, I think, 2 picks.
It's a good defense, though.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good defense, but it's not. It's missing also their best player.
Yeah, and you know what? With Watt, who was at the Rockets-Warriors game last night, by the way.
So.
But yeah, you know what? It's going to be tough. Roethlisberger going for number 3.
I think the quarterback matchup is going to be obviously the biggest determinant, like it is in most NFL games. Yeah. Big Ben hasn't been as great as usual lately, and Brady obviously wasn't great last week. So if one of them kind of has some errors, and if either of them throws 2 picks, I think that'll lose the game for their team.
Just hoping for a good one. Just hoping for a good one.
I think it will be.
I'm neutral, so I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, you want to see the Patriots in the Super Bowl again, or you'd be happy to see somebody else?
I want to see the best possible matchup at this point.
That's a good perspective.
And I think at this point that is Rodgers and Brady because, you know, you can really make a strong argument that I know for Brady's sake, of course, but the way Rodgers played now towards the end of this year, that they're 2 of the, you know, top 3 or 4 quarterbacks ever. So it's one of those situations where as a neutral fan, I just want to see the best possible game. And I think, you know, I will pick the Packers to win the game. And I think they're going to do so by 7-10. I think this is, you know, I definitely think Atlanta has enough firepower, but I think this is going to be a shootout again. And I just don't. Same thing I'll say. You know, we're a podcast that talks NBA, so I'll throw the comparison in. I don't think you want to play that style with them, and you know, I don't think this is a team that matches up well against Green Bay. Same thing I'll say with the Rockets do with the Warriors. I think any team trying to run and gun and I just when you're you know sling shooting with Aaron Rodgers, I think you're going to lose 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I mean the Packers are banged up. The Falcons are relatively healthy.
The receivers.
Yeah. We got Jordy, who's questionable. Devontae Adams questionable. Geronimo Allison questionable. I mean, I think there's a good chance all those guys play just because it's a huge game. Like you said, I mean, I'm not picking against the Packers, not just because I'm a fan, but just the stretch they're on right now.
Right.
Like Rodgers I mean, he's going to lose the NFC Championship game. You're really telling me that? Especially the last time he was there, he lost on the nonsense of his special teams on an onside kick.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think they kind of understand that. And I want to shout out Julius Peppers because I think Peppers is going to come through on Sunday and put on a performance. This could be one of Peppers' last games, maybe second to last game. And he's been performing in the playoffs. I think he's going to come up, you know, juiced up, come out to play and get some pressure. And, you know, the Falcons have a good offensive line, not as great as Dallas's offensive line. And they have an issue, I think, their right guard. And one of the Packers' best defensive players is defensive tackle Mike Daniels. So that's a great matchup. I think the Packers have to get a few stops defensively because their offense will put up points, but the Falcons' offense can put up points. They have Julio Jones, Gabriel, Freeman, and Coleman. So it's just like it should be a really fun game. It should be a really fun Sunday of football. But give me the Packers
and the Steelers.
Yeah, give me the Packers and the Steelers, and give me the Packers 34-27.
Yeah, and you know what? That would be a rematch of what, the Super Bowl in 2010?
Yep, correct. And the Packers came out victorious.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you know what? We've seen every wild card team, and you know the Packers. They did win their division. That's why they hosted that game. But they played wild card weekend, and they're the only team left from wild card weekend. But you know we've seen the hot teams win, and there's no arguing who has the most momentum going into this game. Rodgers is riding a streak of from 6 from the regular season, the whole run the table thing. So
yeah, this is 8 straight for the Packers. So this would be 9 if they win.
Yeah. So we've seen in the past teams go on these runs, and I would think that the style of play, it's indoors in Atlanta, and I just think on that kind of track and the way Rodgers is playing, it's going to take a lot to beat them. It really is.
Random fact: Rodgers' passer rating is 10 points higher when he plays indoors.
Random fact: Rodgers' pass rating is higher than a lot of quarterbacks that play against.
Yeah, that's very true. But this season, actually, Matt Ryan, I think, had a higher quarterback rating.
It's crazy because 3 shoe-in Hall of Famers in the MVP of the regular season could be Matt Ryan. So, and the other quarterback. So it's lining up nicely for the NFL. I think ratings-wise, the highest potential watch would be Packers and Patriots, and then the least would be Steelers and Falcons. So.
Yeah. Last week's game, Cowboys and Green Bay, I think was the highest viewed divisional playoff game in years.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Well, when the Cowboys Nation comes out, they come out, you know.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
the first time they had an opportunity to win a championship. You know, obviously a couple years ago they did, but this team you felt like at home would be better off, but they were not. So you like Steelers Packers, I like Packers Patriots, and Wednesday we'll break it down.
Yeah, I agree with you though that Packers Patriots would be like all instant money for the NFL. Just like the storylines and the hype that would create.
It's an all-timer game, you know. It's a big legacy game for both those guys.
I mean, you can make the argument. I heard this, I think, Max Kettleman on First Take said, you know, Rodgers is the best of all time and Brady's the greatest. Yeah. So, you know, you could make it could be a big statement game for both quarterbacks.
It would be. Definitely would be. Yeah.
But that wraps it up, guys. Thank you for listening, and let us know what you think, and make sure you hit that subscribe button.
All right, guys. Take care. Thanks for all the support. Appreciate all you guys.